Somewhere in the world, there's a place called Nepal. I've never been there, near there. Probably at my age, I won't get there, but I can do it surreptitiously. I can do it. I can let my man do it for me. Mr. Brian White is here. He is enjoying the delicious cuisines of Nepal and enjoying also meeting a lot of YouTubers and stuff over there who love Tesla as much as we do. So give me a few minutes on Nepal, and then we'll get into the subject matter, which is never ever bet against Elon Musk.
Who? So you can fill me in on that, gentleman, momentarily. I have come to Nepal because Nepal is number 2 in the world in EV adoption for new cars. They went from 3% 5 years ago to 76% of all cars imported this in the past fiscal year were EVs. And it's still ramping, which means this coming year, we're going to see even higher numbers. And that's why I simply had to come. I went to a car show. I got to within a handful of feet of the prime minister, maybe 6-8 feet away from him. So he's on video accidentally. I guess that's what happens when you're in a public space. And I've been meeting with not just people big in the EV YouTube space, but also I met with the CEO, the lead designer of a hydropower dam. And I got all my questions answered. It was amazing. Video coming soon about that. And I've been out to the showrooms to see the kinds of Chinese cars that I didn't see in showrooms in China because they were all the premium ones there. And these are all of the more affordable ones here. It is happening. It is big. And this is proof to me that even a country that isn't huge and wealthy by Western standards can still make big changes when they put their mind to it.
Indeed. Well, that's very, very cool. I understand that there's lots and lots of Nepalese. I don't know. What is it?
I think that's what it is.
Videos on your channel. So people should go over there and check out all the things that are happening in that part of the world. And I'm sure you're getting insights that you would have never gotten without going there. And
absolutely,
some people have even ended up supporting you in this effort because who else is going to go? I mean, it's Brian White or nobody. I mean,
it is literally Brian White or nobody because even the foreign press isn't here. There was at the car show literally 0 people from the foreign press. Now you may see an AP report from here, but that's a local AP report. And certainly no one from the bureau desk is assigning someone to actually travel here to find out.
Right. All right. Well, listen, we've heard this before, this idea that you should never, ever bet against Elon.
And okay. So definitely bet against him, quote unquote, Gordon Johnson.
Yeah, right. For instance, he's somebody who's been betting against Elon for a very long time. Gary Black has added his name to the list recently. There's been others who we won't even mention because we don't like them, and so we wouldn't want to say their names on a video. Indeed. So, in fact, there was an article this morning from some news outsource that used to be favored by many of us. I didn't even read his article, and there might have been good stuff in it because I just don't like him so much. Don't like his company. So anyway, let's get on to the real subject matter. His never bet against Elon. There was this article of somebody very publicly betting against Elon over the weekend on X. It got a lot of attention. I've already reported on it once, but I thought we should go a little deeper on this. And this was some CEO of a ride-hailing company that's making billions and billions. I mean, they are cleaning up after looking like they'd never make a dime. They finally turned the corner, and now they are a Wall Street darling. Everybody's talking about them. And that, of course, would be Uber.
I thought you were going to say BlackBerry or Blockbuster because I see a parallel, but go on.
So he said something to the effect, I didn't write down the quote for this particular occasion, but he said something to the effect that he thinks that LiDAR and radar and all those other silly things are absolutely going to be necessary, that we will never get to a complete full self-driving, unsupervised without those things, that vision only is never going to work. And I just had to think to myself and he also said, although Elon Musk would disagree with me and he might turn out to be right, and I might turn out to be wrong, which I thought that was honest of him, is that he is betting against Elon like literally days or weeks before he's going to be proven wrong.
Now, remind me, that CEO, did he go to MIT or Caltech? Because I'm going to tell you right now, he does not have the expertise needed to make an assessment like that. Come on. You and I know that. And the problem is he knows that. But we've seen too many people make that mistake. And those people typically have something in common, which is that they have taken a LiDAR heavy approach. And it's hard to admit you're wrong, especially when you're going down a dead end that's so narrow that you cannot reasonably back out of it.
In particular, if you've already asked, you've already begged Tesla to become a partner, and Elon
I thought you were going to say it's hard to back out of it because you're using Waymo's LiDAR system,
Yeah.
but both ways work.
Both ways
So
work.
the problem isn't that he doesn't know better. The problem is that his business depends on this happening. If Tesla could benefit from a partnership with Uber, Uber could survive due to a partnership with Tesla. Those are not equal. Those two needs are not equal. Tesla could throw them a bone, which could allow them to survive. If Uber's approach is any percent human plus the remainder Waymo, they will not be cost competitive. Period. We know that. Uber needs to reduce their costs. They can't do it by charging less. They just became profitable. If they decide to cut it to the point where they're no longer profitable, they're done. Wall Street will abandon them. So what do you do to cut your costs? Well, Waymo says, hey, stick with us because check it out. Right now, we might be at 1 human to 5 Waymos. We don't know. They won't tell us. We might be at 1 to 10 in a year. Again, they will never tell us. But at some point, we will get to 1 to 100 or 1 to 0. I mean, 0 to infinity, because maybe Waymo believes, and maybe they're right, that their approach will eventually lead to no humans involved in any part. Tesla believes that. If Tesla believes that, it's reasonable to assume that everyone believes it. If one company can do it, it's reasonable to assume another company can do it. I don't think Waymo's sensor approach will hold them back. I just don't think it helps them. So then the question is, if Waymo gets rid of all humans in the driving process, their vehicle still costs 3 to 4 times as much as a cybercab. They will never achieve cost parity with Tesla. So what you're seeing is not a man sharing his scientific brilliance. What you're seeing is a drowning dog clinging to a shred of flotsam in the sea. I guess that'd be jetsam, but still.
So one of those two, flotsam and jetsam, they usually hang out together. I understand. So we have this situation where Elon has said that in the same weekend that the FSD version 14 will be 2 to 3 times safer than humans, and he's saying that version will be out in the next 5 to 6 weeks. So it seems like a rather odd time for this guy to do an interview where he says they'll never get there, because then Elon, with a short, just a 4 or 5 week time period, would be proven completely wrong or completely right, probably in a very short time.
So you brought me on because I'm an expert on short. I see how it is, Randy. Very disrespectful, but I'll forgive you this once. Look, I don't think many people are going to remember this conversation, this speech, this presentation that he gave, this interview. I think it'll be forgotten like every other broken promise. And it's not a broken promise. It's a plausible misunderstanding. And again, he's painted himself into a corner. He hasn't painted himself into a corner. He has been painted into a corner. Uber had their own driverless R&D division. It looked fairly promising. They had one very high profile death. They just shut it down. I don't I don't know that it wouldn't have succeeded. But with a case like they sold off the division to a company, it might have been a Chinese company. What's happened since? It beats me, man. But that would suggest to me they weren't as close as they were believing that they were. This was years ago that this happened. People forget how incredibly challenging this is. Elon said 2 to 3 times safer than a human. Is that right?
Yep.
My question is, I think that means unsupervised, because FSD is already more than 2 to 3 times safer than a human supervised, right?
Yeah, we got 800. Yes. Yeah, those stats that they put out all the time,
Once a year.
800,000 miles between incidences or whatever. Yes.
Right. So this tells me that he's not saying
Yeah, no.
he's not saying it's gotten a little bit better. He's saying, and again, a little bit of tea leaf reading here, but I'm in Nepal. They have excellent tea. I feel qualified. I think that what he's saying is that unsupervised may be done. I hope it is. Now, I don't think that means we will get unsupervised. I think unsupervised has regulatory hurdles. I think even level 3 might have regulatory hurdles where you have to be, you can now text on FSD is basically what level 3 is. You can close your eyes or watch TV, but you can't leave the driver's seat. So I think I'm hoping that that's what we're going to see at the end of next month, because we're seeing milestones targeted by Tesla AI. Tesla AI is not prone to hyperbole. They know what they're testing today, and they generally don't announce things unless it's already in the process of being finalized.
And that would be another reason why it would be dumb at this moment to bet against Elon, is because his team and he are seeing into the future. They have something that you've been, claiming that you have for a very long time. They actually have visibility into the future because they're driving a car that's of the future for the rest of us. We haven't been able to test that model yet.
See, I thought you were going to say that I had LASIK, and I did, but that's because everyone kept telling me that I needed adult supervision.
There you go. That's it. All right. I want to talk about other people. Now, I think Uber is the biggest loser on this particular bet. Okay.
Well,
yeah.
They're yes.
Okay.
Yes, they're not the boxer. They're the coach, and the coach can't make the boxer better. He's done as much as he can. It's not up to Uber whether or not Uber fails or succeeds. They don't have a path.
Yeah, we can look at people, we can say that Waymo and some of these other ride-hail companies are big losers, but they don't compare to my next set of losers. And those losers, which I think are just under Uber and maybe in some ways worse than Uber in terms of the losses they're going to take, Toyota, Volkswagen, Hyundai, Kia, and Stellantis, the 4 largest automakers in the world, who without autonomous vehicles, unsupervised autonomous vehicles, I don't know what happens to them 5 years from now.
I would love to tell you that your hyperbole is too extreme. I don't know what the timeline is. That's the hard part. But let's say it's not next month that we get unsupervised. Let's say Robotaxi rolls out at the lowest end of the least optimistic expectations. If it's 2027, 28, 29, and Volkswagen, Ford, GM, Stellantis wake up and realize, oh no, we need FSD. My question is, where are you going to get it? Because the only companies that are really trying to push forward a consumer solution is Tesla and a bunch of companies in China, which aren't likely to be licensable in North America or Europe. So if you're Volkswagen, where do you go? Do you go? I mean, Bosch had a driverless solution program that they were working on for years. I haven't heard anything about that in a while. Are we still hoping maybe Mobileye or Comma AI comes through? It's possible, but I don't know where you're going to get it from. And I don't think they know either. I mean, I know they don't know because no one else is this close to the finish line.
And
So
then,
yeah,
yeah.
don't 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 take that lightly, Stellantis.
And then, if we're right, if I think you agree with me, if the reality of the future is not even owning an autonomous car, but rather people 100% at some point, maybe it's 10 years, maybe it's 15 years. I think it's going to happen pretty quickly, but I'm an optimist. At some point, everybody's just renting a taxi as opposed to owning a car, or the vast majority are, to the point where it's not profitable to manufacture cars anymore. Then every single car maker in the world that isn't in the fleet business is basically dead in the water.
I have difficulty looking out that far. I just know a lot of people will always want things. I see people purchase things for which they have no use, but a car they would still have use for. There was a when Costco changed from Pepsi to Coke recently, they got rid of their old signs and someone bought one at an auction for an unreasonable amount of money just so he could have a giant Costco sign at his house. Why? So if people are buying those, people will still buy cars. I don't want Tesla to get out of the car selling business and give up that revenue stream just because some people are stubborn. I think they'll have enough capacity to meet people at their level, at whatever level they are, whether it's buying a car or just being hauled around. I think both are valid purposes. My question then would be, what happens to all the garages in North America? Sure, you could fill them with all your junk that you would otherwise have paid a used store to handle, but why don't you get into indoor gardening? I hear that can be very profitable.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at, though, the situation. Let's take most of these most of the major companies. Let's talk about anybody that's making 1 million cars or more, and there's about 60 of those, 70 of those companies at least that are in that category. If any of those guys gets down to the place where, let's say, some truck or some pickup truck or some four-door car, they can only make 10,000 a year because that's all the demand there is. You can't make money on it.
That is 100,000% correct. There is, once you get under a shift, what do you do? Well, let's combine two models onto one line. We can do that. But you still have a minimum you need to hit. Cadillac is trying to make their Celestiq with on their prototype line. That's how low the volume is, but they're charging accordingly. It's like a $200,000-300,000 Cadillac Chevy, so that's cool. But I don't think people understand that when you, just as Tesla began to enjoy economies of scale in 2018, 2019, other manufacturers are going to begin losing economies of scale, and you will reach a point where it no longer makes sense to manufacture that vehicle. And then what? Then what do you do? Close shop, I guess, or
Yeah, I mean,
or or become just a rebadger.
yeah,
Where, I mean, could you imagine Stellantis just saying we're not going to make cars anymore? We're just going to rebadge. I could see that happening. I could see them getting another 10, 20 years doing that, but it would be a death spiral.
right, right. Yeah, I mean, we've seen this story before. We saw Sears, which at one point, basically, in fact, in my lifetime, in your lifetime even, and you're a lot younger than me, was the number one store. I mean,
Dominated.
is even while I have been in business, just in my business career, it was the number one cherry. It was the number one company that you wanted to crack.
Wow.
There was no Costco. There was no, back in the day, there were
Walmart wasn't nationwide.
Walmart
Yeah.
wasn't nationwide. They were just starting out in Arkansas in the 40s, late 40s. And so you have and you saw Sears not pay any attention to the dramatic things that Walmart was doing in terms of distribution. You saw Sears not paying any attention to the dramatic things that Amazon was doing in terms of selling direct to consumer through the internet. And you saw this megalith. No, there's a word. What's the word? You saw this giant corporation go away over the course of about 40 years, slowly but surely in this death spiral because they made two wrong bets. And now you're seeing all these companies, in my opinion, not taking advantage of two bets. Again, both of those are Elon Musk bets: electrification and autonomous driving.
Well, I'm still thinking that there are people who will bet against Elon, and here's why. There's this famous clip on YouTube you can find of a stock analyst saying, "Yeah, and now Amazon has surpassed Sears in value." Sears, you think Amazon's worth more than Sears? Come on! And you looking back, you're like, "Oh, oh, you didn't know." No one, I mean, that other guy knew, but you didn't. And that's the guy who was betting against Amazon. Um, Turns out that was Amazon had many years of flat, just as Microsoft did, just as Nvidia did. Uh, I saw a fun stat the other day that said if the 1080 Ti was their new great amazing GPU that came out, I don't know, 8 years ago, 9 years ago. It was $700. If you bought one, it would still be a very good graphics card today. But if instead you'd bought the stock, you'd have $43,000. So don't bet against Nvidia when if it's 7 years ago. Is Nvidia making the next move? I don't know. I don't follow Nvidia that closely. Maybe they are. Maybe it's a good time. But I do know that I have not sold a share of Tesla. This is, aren't you sad you didn't catch the all-time high? No, because I'm not a gambler. Nothing against people who do try and time the market.
That's right.
Randy.
Oh man, I keep getting hit. Larry did it on
I will say
last week. Now what's going on?
I will say there were people who gave me a hard time saying I don't trust Randy because he doesn't believe in Tesla. I said he believes in Tesla. He bought the shares back. He was just trying to take advantage of a short-term move. Yeah.
All right.
3 hours of no faith. How dare you?
Yeah, no faith. So a day, I'm sorry. They say in media, it's always a good thing to bookend your show. So I want to bookend my show today by saying in 1950, Japan was a bombed out, destroyed country. In 1957, South Korea was a wasteland. In 1960, Singapore was absolute. They've been 350 years of war. There was nothing there. It was a plain with nothing on it. Now they're three of the most amazing cities, the most advanced cities in the world, cities or countries in the world. And that happened in a very short time. Does Nepal have such a future ahead of it?
No, Nepal is not a manufacturing nation. They don't have that. That's just not something they do. They've got, textiles and simple things. They're not a sleeping giant in terms of electronics or any of that. But if being a bombed out husk of a city means in 30 years you'll be the biggest car maker, I'm excited for Gary, Indiana.
There you go. Thank you very much. Everybody in Gary is sending you flowers or something now.
I don't know if they have internet.
Man, you're picking on. Do you know somebody in Gary?
I don't. I've just driven through it, and that was quite enough.
Yeah,
I'm sad for
yeah,
the industry's loss there that has led to the decline.
yeah. My brother's name is Gary, so when I traveled through Gary, I paid careful attention. And yes, my brother is way better than Gary, Indiana. So yeah.
All right.
So, all right. I think that's all I've got for now. I'm hoping that everybody named Gary, including Gary, Indiana, will forgive us for this, whatever we just did.
Right.
Right. It's been great.
But has it been?
What? Are we going to close this thing? Or have you got anything funny to say or not? I mean, come on.
No, I was just wondering how it was talking to all of us.
Oh, I see. It was great.